Hello out there, and I know I'm a little bit behind on things, but I am today responding to an open tag from my buddy Patty's Potato Peelers. He asked the question, if you could redo your first video, would you? And how would you address, the topic that you covered, and would things be different? Are your opinions the same? All that kind of stuff. And he specifically mentioned me when he came to tagging people. So I definitely wanted to do this. I got behind with a lot of other stuff. And so here we are, and let's talk about it. And first and foremost, I think that when it comes to my first video, the one on this Spyderco Sage 5, there isn't really much that I would change. When I look at that video now, I enjoy it because there was a whole lot less, I don't know if pressure is the word, but there were less expectations from people because I had zero audience. So I was making a video and just talking about a knife and having a good time with it and going over just my impressions of it. And I think that really comes off in that first video where, I'm not worried about remembering every little spec to cover or every detail, that I know that people are going to ask about in the comments. It's just me enjoying a knife that I got and sharing it with anyone who happens to come across the video. If I did have one thing technically to change about that, it would be that I wish I had a tripod at that point, because that video was like me holding the phone in my hand and the knife in the other, and that was a bit of a challenge. But otherwise, yeah, and when it comes to how I feel about the knife now versus then, I think it's just as good now as it was back then, almost, is this 2.5 years ago plus? Yeah, if this knife came out now, I would be just as excited, and I would film a video about it immediately, the same way I did when I first picked this one up to start the channel. So yeah, overall, I don't think I would change much. I do think that early on in the beginning, especially when people started subscribing and I started getting a few more people watching videos, I made some mistakes in that I started thinking, well, what do people want to see versus what do I want to talk about? And that's always, I think, that's always a big mistake. And sometimes when I get in, not really down about doing this because I'm always really excited and positive about it, but sometimes there are those moments where, I feel like some of the stuff that I'm doing just isn't resonating, or I feel, backed up with all of the reviews or things that I'm trying to get to. And I'll think, man, this video wasn't popular, this video wasn't popular, people shit on this one for whatever reason, and that stuff does happen. But and I'll think, man, I need to make something that like people really like. And every time I get that thought, I know I have to stop that, because what always ends up working is me figuring out what I want to talk about and just doing it. And regardless of if people watch or if people like it, like that's when I feel best about what I'm doing here. And I think in those early days, like I said, as soon as I first started getting, people that were watching somewhat regularly, I started thinking about what I could do to cater to them instead of, hey, let's just build an identity with this channel and whoever jumps onto it, fine. And that really was the big takeaway. But yeah, as far as this knife goes and as far as that first video goes, I'm actually pretty happy with it. I think my reviews have improved a little bit over time. But again, if you watch those early ones, there's a little bit of freedom in those conversations that that every time I rewatch those videos, I try to get back to that as much as I can, because yeah, those videos felt good. Still feels good now, but it was a little bit different back then. And yeah, I try to get back to that as often as I can. So thanks, Patty, for the tag. I really appreciate it. But yeah, this is still a great knife, and I'm very thankful that it's the one that launched this channel. So any other questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, let me know down below. Really appreciate it, guys. Take care, and I'll talk with you soon. Have a good one.